of people are drawn to pottery, whether it's buying it or making it. In today's case, we have a professional potter on board. My guest is high school teacher at Trumbull High School. He is Trevor Nyberg of Woodbridge. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I love pottery. I love the making of it and all of that. How were you drawn to it in the first place? Because you teach it in high school.
So when I was first drawn to it, I was in college, and it was the potter's wheel all the way. The experience of working.
But why? How'd you get to the wheel? You just wanted to...
Oh, so when I got to college, I thought I'd be a writing major, but my mother actually encouraged me to take a pottery class, and so through that experience, second semester, freshman year, I was hooked from that point on.
Do people understand what it is and how many steps go into making just one piece of pottery? Most
likely not. For me, it's about maybe 1/10 of my time is spent making. The other 10th of the time is supporting, particularly the wood firing process that I practice at my house, which involves is a community endeavor. So we split wood, we stack wood, we load the kiln, we fire it, and we unload it, and then we clean up. And that's our kind of making, firing cycle every 2 or 3 months.
How hot is a kiln?
2,400 degrees.
That's pretty hot. All right, let's go through some of these while what they are, what it takes to make them, and then I'm going to ask you about the potter's path, which is very cool. Let's start with this guy.
We have a bowl here, which was fired on its side. So you can see there's a pool of glaze on the inside, which is the ash that flies through the kiln and melts and forms a glaze. There's even crystals that form during the cooling process. And this has a liquid clay over the surface of the body, which has melted. It's like a terracotta or
and makes it shiny.
Red clay that melts and captures the ash from the firing and develops the variations in colors.
And then this guy right here?
The exact same surface treatment with the liquid red clay, but fired in a different way where we're controlling the atmosphere and holding temperatures in a different way.
Turn it around too.
Drawing the iron to the surface and getting a little bit more subtle variation.
Just gorgeous. All right, this state has all kinds of trails, the chocolate trail, the beer trail, whatever. Now we have a potter's path.
Yes.
How old is it? How did it come to be and what is it?
This is our first year. It's a group of mainly Connecticut potters who I've worked with and fired with over the last several years, and we decided that it's time for this stretch of Connecticut between Bethel and New Haven to have a potter's path of its own where folks can travel for 2 days, visit the artists, meet each host sites, guest artist, purchase pottery, enjoy food, experience community in a fresh way.
I love this, and it's not just Connecticut folks who are finding out about the potter's path. They're coming from all over the country?
Well, there are some people coming from at least outside of Connecticut, from Vermont.
That's a start.
And New Hampshire, yes. Who knows, maybe down the road.
What happens when you go to somebody's backyard, if that's where the kiln is? It's a community gathering?
Well, it becomes one because as folks gather, sometimes if we're firing, we share meals and work together and solve problems. But for the potter's path itself, we'll be enjoying food, maybe having cider, wine, meeting fellow community members, and supporting the pottery community, which we all enjoy. Which
is just terrific. If somebody wants to start, see, we're seeing you, form something, which I would be a disaster at this. How do you start with the wheel?
It begins with centering. So once you have the piece perfectly centered in the middle of the wheel as it's spinning, then you can apply pressure evenly to draw the clay outwards and upwards and finally into a finished form.
All right, you teach in high school. Do you also teach at your home?
I do some classes here and there. I've been invited small groups like Girl Scouts to do a little party sometimes. And I also do some individual lessons, but for the most part, we gather to fire. And individual artists work in their own home studios and we come together to fire the work. Trevor, thanks for coming in and bringing these beautiful pieces. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. And for more on pottery and the potter's path, go to WTNH.com or the News 8 app.